Welcome back into the 143. This is episode 68. We're under review. Happy to be with you today.
This episode, we have brought to you our overall thoughts and feedback on the 2023 NFL Draft.
It was a good draft. It was a doozy. It's finals week here in College Station, but we don't care because we're doing this.
Absolutely.
This is our full-time
Does not
job.
stop us from bringing out content every week.
And we're acing our finals as we speak.
Absolutely.
If our parents are listening to this. But let's get started. We have a good episode on tap about the draft, like Nick said. Lots of cool stuff going on in sports right now. You've got the NBA playoffs as well as the NHL playoffs happen simultaneously. Our Stars moved on to the second round. They're playing tonight. It's Tuesday.
Absolutely.
They're playing tonight against the Kraken. A big series that a lot of people are looking at for the NBA. Lakers, Warriors, LeBron versus Steph, history versus dynasty. Yes, I should be working in advertising. Thank you for noticing. But that's a very exciting series as we're going to see two of the biggest names in sports go against each other in the playoffs, a matchup I think a lot of people have been hoping for a while. But yeah, so we're excited. We're here for it all, and we're going to give you some draft feedback today because that happened over the weekend. But let's start us off with the stat of the week brought to you by Andrews Logistics. Your stat is actually happened last week. The Milwaukee Bucks lost in 5 games to the Miami Heat in the NBA playoffs. The Heat were an 8 seed, the Bucks were a 1 seed, and the Bucks fell in 5 games. That is the 6th time that's happened in history. The 6th time. Doesn't happen very often, and it definitely doesn't happen in 5 games. So the Bucks just did not come ready to play. The Heat were dominant, and the Heat are kind of rolling right now, and they're playing tonight in New York against the Knicks. But that is your stat of the week, brought to you by Andrews Logistics.
And your player of the week. This was actually a special request made known by a certain somebody last week. It is Jake Ottinger, the goalie for the Dallas Stars, and he is the forefront and the centerpiece to our Dallas Stars this past season. Obviously, he was a huge part in helping us win this last series against Minnesota. So, he had 1 shutout last series, had a .929 save percentage, and allowed 2.01 goals per game, which is an absolutely ridiculous number.
A lot of numbers for you to say that he is amazing.
Indeed.
Which is why he's our player of the week.
And
our corporate sponsor.
I'm confident that he is going to help propel us to the Stanley Cup Finals because I'm not afraid of the Kraken.
I'm not afraid of the Kraken either. Nick's rocking the Stars shirt today.
Yes.
He came out to
Game
support.
1 is tonight, and I am confident that by the time this episode drops, we will be ahead 1-0 in the series.
Surprised you're not wearing your jersey,
I
to
know.
be honest.
I did not think about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of
I
surprised.
apologize.
But it's okay. Next week. There's always next week. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into the draft as much as NBA and hockey are going on, which we will keep you updated on those. The draft happened this weekend, Thursday through Saturday. Lots of people's dreams came true as they went to NFL teams, and some people did not get picked. So we send our thoughts and prayers out to them. But, a lot of undrafted Hall of Famers out there.
I mean, who knows?
You know?
Absolutely. We don't know. We could. There's going to be a gem out there, I'm sure. In a couple years, we're going to be looking back and saying, how did this person not get drafted?
Kurt Warner.
I mean,
Hall
hey,
of Famer.
absolutely.
He just had a movie come out about him. His son actually just got signed as an undrafted free agent. I forget which team, but he is now in the NFL. So could be like his dad, something like that. But we're not here to talk about the undrafted free agents out there. We're here to talk about those who were drafted. Nick, what did you think of the draft?
Well, first off, I thought it was incredibly long. Like, I don't know about...
Yeah, the first round took forever.
I don't know about you. Or yes, sorry. I'm talking about the first round on Thursday night. I don't know about y'all, but that felt like it just took forever.
Does it normally take 4 hours? I
See,
feel like it doesn't.
I don't feel like it does either. But, obviously, we mentioned earlier on the show we would like to see Anthony Richardson go to the Colts. And
Did we speak it into existence?
I think we did because that's exactly what happened. Because Anthony Richardson did, in fact, go to the Colts.
At number 4.
Yes.
Yep. A lot of moves were made this draft. I know they set the record for the amount of trades in a draft as well. So lots of teams traded their picks the day of. Unfortunately, the Eagles got a lot better. I will say, I think
they made some quality moves.
Objectively, the Eagles had an amazing draft. They snagged Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, two guys from Georgia who are just dogs in a good way. Like, really
Beasts.
good. Sorry for those of you that don't know what dogs is.
And they
DAWG.
somehow managed to get DeAndre Swift, not in the draft,
They didn't
but
get through a trade
simultaneously
with the draft.
which is very
The
frustrating.
Eagles just got a lot better, but I think the Cowboys got better too.
I'm inclined to agree. Obviously, our first round pick, Mozzie Smith, out from Michigan, we picked him to help bulk up our defensive line, and he is a unit.
He's a beast.
He is a humongous human being, and I think he is going to be a valuable asset.
As soon as he was picked, Michael Parsons yelled, "No more QB sneaks, AJ." Speaking to AJ Brown, do you think that that's one of the main reasons we got him? Because Philly's got their special play.
Obviously, we play them twice a year, so we have to account for the QB sneak.
Yeah, Philly's special play is the QB sneak, where literally they'll just push Jalen Hurts forward on like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. So a lot of, the NFL is trying to look to ban that, but right now it's not. It's still legal. And
from a Cowboys fan, I like that because Mozzie Smith hasn't even stepped foot in the Cowboys facility yet, and there's already some love there between him and Micah Parsons.
well, Micah texted Dan Quinn the day of and said, "I want this guy."
And obviously, we've said it before, and we'll say it again. Jerry knows what he's doing in the draft.
Absolutely.
So that helps me have faith in this young player this upcoming season.
Coolest moment in the draft, in my opinion,
It was definitely from the Cowboys.
the Cowboys.
For sure.
We got Deuce Vaughn in the 6th round, Kansas State running back. His dad is a scout for the Dallas Cowboys, and he got to make the call to his son from the Cowboys war room, and basically said, "Hey, you want to come to work with me tomorrow?" Got to call his son, tell him he was a Dallas Cowboy. That was definitely the coolest moment.
Pretty
of the
huge
draft.
moment, and I got to be honest, I'm a Deuce Vaughn fan.
I love Deuce Vaughn as well.
He's 5'5", 176, just a little firecracker, and he's a little speedster. Don't
very quick.
sleep on
Very
him.
quick.
That adds some running back depth to
He's
the
a great
Cowboys
pass
running
catcher.
back room.
Great pass
Absolutely,
catcher.
yes. So, Joseph, do you think that Bryce Young solves the Carolina Panthers' problem?
I think we talked about this last week. Bryce Young's a really good player. He won the Heisman. That's saying a lot. I guess the Panthers have figured out their quarterback position, and now they just need to figure out the other 21 positions on offense and defense. And I would say they are a long way from success.
Yes, I think this is kind of the first step. Well, I say first step, but that is if Bryce Young pans out to be as good as he's supposed to be.
It's going to be tough
But-
for him because the Panthers have no O-line.
I was about to say, I agree
running
because
backs.
they have 21 other positions that they need to figure out.
So-
yes, they got Adam Thielen, but I don't think that that's going to be a viable
Look,
weapon.
there's
that's
a reason
gonna
they were the first
put them
pick in
over
the
the
draft.
edge.
I guess
Absolutely.
They traded up to get the first pick in the draft. By doing that, they let go of their star receiver and their future. And so they have Bryce Young, but they don't really have anything else. The Texans, interestingly enough, they got C.J. Stroud at number 2, just like a couple of guys here on this show said that they probably would.
Mm-hmm.
And then they traded for the number 3 pick to get Will Anderson from Alabama. So they got a stud on a quarterback offense, and then they got a stud on defense. First 3 picks of the draft, the Houston Texans are already bulking up. So I think the Texans are looking better. They've obviously still got a long way to go, but they are looking way better than the Panthers are looking. I will say that.
I would agree because at least it looks like the Texans are heading somewhat in the
Yes.
right direction.
And they got I think they got a good head coach.
But what the Panthers did is they kept trading away their good players, and
now they have
at some
Bryce
point
Young
you just got to wonder what's going on.
in Carolina because nobody knows.
Absolutely. And then another big story was that obviously, so there was 4 big quarterbacks in this draft. You had Bryce Young taken first overall, C.J. Stroud second, and then you had Anthony Richardson as the 4th pick. And then the 4th quarterback name was Will Levis. And everyone was expecting these 4 guys to go top 10. Obviously, no doubts about those first three guys, but
Nick and I were not sold on
I think
Will
we made
Levis.
it clear that we weren't sure about Will Levis, and nobody else in the NFL was because
Do
he
you
didn't
think-
get taken until the second
Do
round.
you think that a lot of the execs listen to our show before the draft?
I mean, they have to because what we were talking about is how they're trying to psych everyone out with his pro day, right? And that's
Right.
exactly what they did with Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson turned out to be absolutely horrible, and he's already lost his job.
Yep.
I'd like to say to Aaron Rodgers, and like we said, Will Levis could be the same thing.
Will Levis dropped to the second round, went to the Rams.
He went to the Titans.
The Titans.
Yeah.
My bad. He was supposed to go to the Rams in the first round, but they didn't want him. And I respect that. So, I mean, he just didn't show a lot of talent at Kentucky. He was good, but he wasn't first round good.
Yeah, I mean, he broke, I think, a couple records for Kentucky, but I think that was
But I don't know how many
think
good
that was
quarterbacks
about
have
it.
come out of Kentucky.
I can't even think of one, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
neither can I. So, I mean, I think he got drafted where he should have gotten drafted in the second round. And
Yeah, absolutely.
so, and he's on a team. He was not happy, but he got drafted. So I don't know what he's complaining about.
I was about to say,
There were a
you're
lot of
still,
people
you're
that-
still in the NFL.
A lot of people had him going to the Colts, where we said Anthony Richardson was going. And I just did not think there was any way that you take. I have heard from a couple people since then that they would have taken Levis over Richardson, but clearly the professionals up in the NFL did not see it that way, and neither did we. Is there a correlation between us and the professionals in the NFL? Probably.
I mean, I heard it from a few people. Not that Will Levis was the best in the draft. I think everyone had kind of agreed that it was Bryce Young, but I had heard that people, it had been brought to my attention. Some people have said that he's the second best of the four quarterbacks, and
that's not.
I was inclined to disagree, and so was all 32 other teams in the NFL because
They did agree.
he get taken in the first round? I don't think he did.
No, there were a couple in the second round that didn't even take him. So
Exactly.
But he's in Tennessee, and I guess we'll see what happens from there.
We will be
We
monitoring
love
him and Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson
career
to the Colts.
closely.
And yeah, they'll be dueling it out, possibly, obviously, if Tannehill's not starting. But Richardson is going to have the starting job in Indianapolis because they have no other quarterback right now. And it's going to be exciting to see what he can do, under the right coaching. If they can get him in the right direction and develop him a little bit.
So that way they can have a franchise quarterback so they don't have to do this whole
Yeah.
get a
drafting
veteran
him.
for a year and have him be horrible and all that good stuff because that was not working out for them. But if Anthony Richardson can be their guy, I think they'll be in a good place because their offense they have some decent weapons. I'm not trying to say that it's really good, but there are guys on offense that can play. And so if Anthony Richardson turns out to be as good as we're hyping him up to be, then I think the Colts could be decent.
I think also it was interesting. An interesting part of the draft was that there were no wide receivers taken for a really long time. And then I think picks 19 through 22, there were 4 straight wide receivers taken. You had, first one was the guy out of Ohio State.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then you had, was it Zay Flowers was the
From
next
Boston
one?
College,
From Boston
yeah.
College, he went to the Ravens. And then you had Quentin Johnston go to the Chargers
Yes.
as well. And then Jordan Addison go to the Vikings.
I'm sorry, it was
Jordan
flipped.
Addison
It
and
was
then Quentin
Jackson Smith and Jigba, then it was Quentin Johnston, then Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison. But there were some.
That was an interesting part in the draft because I also
We all
didn't
knew there were
agree
some
with all
notable receivers, but they kind of got taken a little bit lower than I thought. I
Okay,
mean, I thought the
Jackson Smith and
receiver
Jigba was
taken would have
definitely
been
the
gone
number
higher.
one receiver. Like
I think so. I can
he,
agree.
he should
Yes,
go first.
100%.
Now, the Chargers did not need Quentin Johnston. I don't know why they got a
See,
receiver.
the thing is, they have plenty of wide receivers, but
lot of
them
them.
staying healthy is a problem. But I still don't think that meant take a wide receiver.
I don't either. And the Ravens didn't need a receiver like Zay Flowers. They needed a big guy like Quentin Johnston. I think the Ravens got the wrong receiver.
Well, because they already got Odell Beckham Jr.
I think the Vikings taking Jordan Addison out of USC, though, was a big pick for them. I like that a lot. They just lost Adam Thielen. They need somebody to be number 2 to Justin Jefferson.
I was about to say, and hey, they made the right call in snagging Justin Jefferson, so who knows with this guy.
So I think Zay Flowers and Quentin Johnston should have been flipped. But I think the Chargers should have taken Zay Flowers. And I think that the Ravens need a big guy. The Ravens just have no number one receiver. And Zay Flowers isn't that big, and he's out of Boston College, so he hasn't really gone up against the best cornerbacks ever.
So I'm not really sure what we'll see from him. But two other big things was Bijan being taken 8th to the Falcons, and then the other running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, being taken 12th by the Lions. And
Everyone was wondering what the Lions were doing taking a running back in the first round at number 12.
I was very confused as well because at that point they
hadn't traded DeAndre.
They still
Swift
had
yet.
DeAndre Swift, but then they later traded him
To the Eagles.
I don't think a running back is what the Detroit Lions needed.
No, I don't either. I mean, they should have kept Swift and not given him to the Eagles, and I'm salty about that just because they gave him to the Eagles. So now the Eagles have Rashad Penny, and the Eagles got better at running back now, which just makes me mad because they were already pretty good there. But they didn't need a running back because they have Jamal Williams, and they didn't need to take a running back that early. Like, the Lions have big problems in the secondary, and they really need to boost their secondary. They just got rid of one of their better secondary players to the Falcons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okudah. And
I think he was their best defensive player for sure, or one of their best.
And so now what are they doing with their secondary right now? They have another running back, which is they were pretty decent at running back. So I don't know what their thinking is, but a lot of people apparently have them winning the division this year, which I don't think is going to happen.
I think that is an early take. I mean, I think everyone is just getting excited with, I don't know, what the Lions are doing, and they're getting excited that Rodgers is out of Green Bay, and they're calling that Kirk Cousins is not going to be as good as he was last year.
I don't really see the Vikings dropping regular season-wise.
I mean, yeah, they probably won't win as many games as they did last year, but I don't see them having a huge drop-off. I honestly see the Vikings winning that division.
I agree. But this is not our too early predictions show yet.
No,
we're
just putting some of those other things to bed. But also, it was a huge deal that Bijan was taken 8th overall because I would say about 90% of the mock drafts that I saw didn't even have him going in the first 10 picks. A lot of people had him going to the Cowboys, which was interesting.
We didn't need him.
I was going to say we did not need to make that pick if it was available.
I think we went the right direction with our first-round pick.
I think so too.
And Bijan to the Falcons is good because they don't have a running back.
Yeah.
So I think it worked out for everyone. I like the pick by Atlanta. They need offense. They're struggling. Well, they need defense too. They're just struggling everywhere at the moment.
They need a quarterback as well. I mean, they had the Ritter-Mariota situation last year where
Heineke Ritter.
You didn't know who to go with because they were both horrible, and like Joseph said, now they have Heineke, which is like not even
like the same thing pretty much.
I was about to say you went from Kroger to Walmart. It's like the same thing. Should have drafted a QB.
They should have drafted a QB, but all they had left was Levis.
I'm going to put that out there. I mean, at that point, Will Levis was on the draft board.
And the biggest Levis backer we know is also a Falcons fan, so that would have been kind of
nice. I would say that they definitely needed a quarterback more than a running back, but they chose Bijan over Levis.
Which they needed.
So what does that tell you about Will Levis? Thank you. This draft just backed up literally everything we have been saying up to this point about Anthony Richardson and Will Levis.
And we said we hope the Cowboys go defense, and the Cowboys went defense.
I mean, I think
we pretty much called everything except
everything.
for the Eagles getting studs out of Georgia in the first round. That made me mad.
Yeah,
but it was a good draft. It was really long first round, and the next 2 days kind of went by, and so now the draft's figured out. Teams will be reporting pretty soon, and we're counting down the days till the next NFL season because we miss
Absolutely. We have made some huge off-season moves, bulked up on both sides of the ball, and I'm excited to see how this draft class pans out for the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's where we like to end our shows on Under Review. I have brought to you a quote by the Ray Lewis. Wins and losses come a dime a dozen, but effort, nobody can judge that because effort is between you and you. Remember that.
That's a good quote. Mm-hmm. Ray Lewis he's a dog.
He is. He was a beast back in the day.
He still is today.
He still is today.
Well, thanks for listening. We will see you next week on Under Review.